Greetings, everybody. My name is Sipon Love. Welcome to I Speak What I Like. The day the world took a step back from the edge. Ladies and gentlemen, for days the world watched missiles fly. The world watched nuclear facilities struck. The world watched government exchange threats. The world watched oil market trembles. The world watched military forces move into position. And for a brief moment, it appears that the Middle East was no longer standing on the edge of the cliff. It appeared that it had already jumped. Yet today the conversation has changed. The language has changed. The tone has changed. The bombs have become fewer. The headlines have become quieter. And suddenly, the world's most powerful nations are speaking once again about diplomacy. The question is why? Why now? What changed? Did peace suddenly become fashionable? Did leaders suddenly discover wisdom? Did politicians suddenly remember that the value of human life matters? Or did something far bigger happen behind the scenes? Let us begin with what we know. We know that military action damaged Iranian nuclear facilities. We also know that Iran condemned the strike, accused the United States of America for destroying diplomacy. That we remember. We know that Washington defended the operation as necessary for security. Those facts are not in dispute, but something else happened. The war began touching interests far beyond Iran and Israel. It began touching the entire world. The Strait of Hormuz, narrow waterway, a small piece of geography, yet the most important location on Earth. Through that passage flows significant portion of the world's energy supply. Now, if that route becomes unstable, oil prices rise, transport costs rise, food prices rise, inflation rises. Now, the pain reaches ordinary people like myself, not generals, not presidents, not billionaires, ordinary people like myself, the workers like myself, the taxi drivers like my neighbor, the farmers. We know. The mother standing in grocery stores wondering why the bread costs more than it did yesterday. And suddenly, it was no longer mere a conflict between Iran and its adversary. It's become a threat to the global economy. Economy does not exist alone. There was another reality emerging. China, Russia, the wider international system. Neither Moscow nor Beijing appeared eager for a direct military confrontation with Washington, yet neither appeared willing to completely abandon Tehran. Now that created a dangerous situation, not because the World War III had already begun, but because too many powerful interests were beginning to overlap in one conflict. Now history teaches us that the great wars are rarely planned as world wars. They grow, they expand, they pull in new actors. They create new obligations, they create new miscalculations, and before anyone realizes it, a regional conflict becomes a global one. Now consider one threat or one theater, Taiwan, the Indo-Pacific, the long-term strategic competition between the United States and China. Military planners do not think only about today's battle, they think about tomorrow's. Every missile fired, every carrier deployed, and every stockpile consumed. Every strategic asset committed, all of these decisions affect the future calculations elsewhere, and that reality cannot be ignored. And this is why I believe something important happened, not necessarily behind the closed doors, but inside the minds of decision makers. They began asking a different questions. Not can we continue this war, but how much larger could this war become? Now, this is completely different, or a different calculation altogether, because once a conflict begins threatening energy markets, threatening international shipping, threatening relations between major powers, threatening global economic stability, the cost of escalation rises dramatically. And then comes the most important point. Neither achieved complete victory. Iran absorbed serious damage. And none of us actually anticipated that. The United States demonstrated military power, Israel demonstrated operational reach, yet the core dispute remains, the nuclear question remains, the political question remains, the security question remains, the regional question remains. The war changed the battlefield, but it did not settle the argument. And when forces cannot deliver a final answer, negotiation returns, as we see happening right now. Not because leaders suddenly trust one another. Not because all grievances disappeared. No. Not because history has been forgiven. But because the alternatives become even more dangerous. Now, this is why diplomacy returns. Not because peace won, not because war won, not because reality won. Reality reminded every side involved that the consequences of the uncontrolled escalation could reach far beyond the Middle East, far beyond Iran, far beyond Israel, far beyond Washington, far beyond Beijing. The lesson here is profound. The world did not step back because everybody agreed. The world stepped back because too many people disagreed while holding too much power. And when nations armed with enormous military capabilities begin colliding with one another's interests, even the rivals are sometimes forced back to the negotiation table. The question now is, diplomacy has returned? Not really. The real question is whether diplomacy is being used to secure peace or merely to prepare for the next round of confrontation, because history has shown us both capabilities, and the answer to that question mainly determined not only the future of the Middle East, but the future of the international order itself, the world order itself. But above everything that has happened so far, the real question for me personally says, what does this say about Donald Trump himself? Because we remember that he was ready to negotiate with Iran, and then all of a sudden, Israel killed the envoys that were sent by Iran. Now, what does this say about America? Did America ensure the safety of the negotiators from Iran? If they did ensure the safety of the negotiators, what then happened since they were killed? I think that's one of the questions that's never been asked. Were the security of these envoys ensured by the Americans? Was it America who was supposed to ensure their safety? And if it was the Americans who was supposed to ensure their safety, did they ensure their safety? And how did they get killed? What can we say about America regarding that one instance? And what does that translate to the current president or the presidency of the United States currently? What does that say about them? You tell me. My name is Sipon Lovu. This is I Speak What I Like. I love you so much. God bless you.